Hey there, welcome to a follow along video in which we will be doing the ZenFit warm up number 2. This will be a 10-minute follow along, 1 minute at a time. We're going to start with good mornings. So here we go with good mornings. You want to make sure you keep the back flat and straight. Hips are going to go straight back. So we want to make sure that our hip bones underneath our waist, so we're actually hinging at the hip. We're not hinging at the low back. In order to do that, we're going to push our hip bones back towards the wall behind us. Try to keep our shins vertical and really get inside of our heels. And you can see here how my hips are really moving backwards. I'm trying to keep the spine long from the tailbone to the top of the head, and try to continue to keep my back super flat. I'm very concentrating very hard on keeping my back flat. And then the next thing that we're gonna go into is going to be Supermans here. We're going into Supermans, making sure that we're really arching through the low back. And the reason that we're doing this after the good mornings is to really pattern the gluteal and the hamstring and the low back connection, to really get them all to fire at the same time. The glutes fire, the hamstrings fire, and the low back fires, which gives us a lot of stability in the deadlift and squats and things of that nature. So we're finishing up about 25 seconds here of the good mornings. You can do these with the hands out to the side. You can do these with the hands back towards the waist. And then to make them a little bit harder, like you see me doing here, you can have the hands overhead. We really want to make sure that we're keeping our knees as straight as possible and lifting up through the heels and the backs of the hamstrings. Try not to bend at the knees. That's the faux pas here. Then after this, we're going to go ahead and transition up to the feet, and we're going to do lunges. So just forward lunges. You can also do lunges to the rear if you wish. Either one is fine. I tend to like lunges to the rear if I'm in place. Ideally, as you probably well know, I like walking lunges better or more optimal than all of them. And here you can see I'm switching immediately to rear lunges to get a little bit more of the front pull through the front leg. So I'm kind of using right now the right leg. Now I'm going to do some lateral lunges, but you want to make sure that you're pulling through the front leg when you're doing the front lunges. Just trying to get some more real estate here so you can see me in the camera. Really trying to get long, straight leg, and then get down into the heel on the front lunge or on the side lunges there. Trying some different variations now, going forward and then backward one. Always trying to figure out the best way to do something. Now we just got squats, and we're going to go nice and easy here. There's no reason to go super fast at like 10 or 12 every 10 seconds. Just do one every 3 seconds or so, just going up and down, and you're going to do this for a minute. So it's going to end up adding up at the end of the warm-up. So we're going to go through this whole segment 2 times. After the squats, we'll move on to burpees, nice and easy. You can see here how my lower back is trying to keep it as straight as possible. Obviously, the hamstrings are tight enough where as I get to the bottom portion and the hips start to drop below the knees, that low back rounds a little bit, and I lose that flat back. That's just something that we all have to work on at a certain point. It's hard to get out of that. So here we're going to transition from the squat to the burpee, and it's just a nice easy burpee. You don't have to go as fast as you can. You're just going to be stepping back and then standing up. If you want to jump, you can jump. You can clap the hands at the top. You can just jump straight up if you want. It's up to you. You can jump forward and jump back with the feet if you feel so inclined. I like to do that because I like to get the heart rate up a little bit more here. But I do know I have to do this for 1 more minute later on to end the entire warm-up. So I'm not going as fast as I can here, just because I have another whole 5 minutes to do the rest of this warm-up. So we're going to go through this 2 more times, or I'm sorry, 1 more time, 2 times total. In about 15 seconds or so here, you can see we've got the good mornings coming back up. So you'll want to really try to work on the flat back and the hip hinge on the good mornings. I find that they're going to be a little bit easier. Here we go. We're transitioning now. They're a little bit easier the second time through. You notice I'm going a lot faster here as I'm trying to get more reps in. Hips still slide back, as you can see here as I'm motioning. Hips slide back, and we're really trying to keep the lower back straight, not arching the neck at the bottom position, which is important. Now I find that after doing some of the motions we've already done, that this is a lot easier for me because my hips and my hamstrings are a little bit more open, and that is something that is helpful as we move on. We get a little bit more open, so things are a little bit easier. And you could see my knees are bending slightly, which is good, but I would say I might even, now that I see it, I might want to keep those a little bit more straight, especially the left one. But my left hamstring is a little bit tighter, so when I go down, it tends to have my knee bend a little bit more. Something that I get to see, so you could video yourself so you could see what your own movement patterns are showing you. And in the Supermans again, so we're down on the floor, and you can choose the different levels of Superman that you'd like to do. I like to start with this one personally because it activates the back of my arms a little bit, and I really have to work on the back and the shoulder blades kind of coming together and pulling together. And then after a certain point in time, that's about 20 seconds there, transition to the palms down and the hands out to the side like airplane wings. Makes it a little bit harder. I'm also using the backs of the arms and the upper back here, trying to squeeze those shoulder blades together. Extending through the crown of the head, trying to have a long spine, and of course lifting up through the hamstrings and not just through the heels. As you can see, my knees are bending. I'm trying to keep them very straight, and that is a cue you're going to have to keep telling yourself. I'm not a fan of bending the knees here so much because the glutes and the hamstrings will actually turn off, and they won't be as active as we really want them to be. So we're going to go ahead and get up here, and we're going to transition into the lunges. And you can do the lunges however you want. Front lunges, rear lunges, lateral lunges. Just be creative. Just do lunges. It's fine. If I had my way, I would just do 1 minute of walking lunges, but I don't have a huge amount of room here. Plus, I'll walk right out of the frame of the camera. So I do some rear lunges, and then I do some lateral lunges, and then you do some front lunges again. 1 or 2 or 3 to each side is kind of the way that I do it, so I can get pretty even on all of them, and I'm not spending a ton of time on each iteration. You can see here just going down, and I could probably stand to sit my butt back a little bit farther there. You want to make sure that hip gets to about 90 degrees, about the knee level. It's a little bit high, but it's good to see that. So we'll work on a little bit of that when I do these again, really getting the butt a little bit lower and getting down to the height of that knee is pretty optimal. That's ideal for me. And then we're going to transition to the squats here, just squats in place, a good squat position. You can see my pace has picked up here a little bit. I only have 1 more minute of burpees to do after the squats are finished, so I know that the end is in sight and I want to get a good warm-up. So I've got to be breathing pretty hard here, and that's what we're going for. So you can see I'm going about 1 every 2 seconds. 1 squat every 2 seconds, 5 every 10 seconds, about 30 a minute. That's a pretty good pace. Probably could be a little faster if I wanted to, but I'm not too worried about it. I am huffing and puffing, and it will be a good workout, or a good warm-up, sorry. And then after this, obviously, we're transitioning to burpees, which could be a little bit faster or a little bit tamer, depending on what you need and your needs. When you're doing the squats here, make sure your knees are driving outwards towards the lateral aspect of your body and not allowing those knees to come in. We don't want those knees to go in. And we've got the burpee. Of course, we've got to push up with the burpee because why? Well, when you age, you will normally just cut down your ranges of motion. So when we work out, we want to make sure that we're increasing our ranges of motion always, because as we age, we will start dropping things that will become difficult, and I don't like to do that. So when we're 90 years old, I always say we want to be able to do 3 burpees a day. That means going all the way down to the floor. All the way down to the floor. Because you might be all the way down to the floor when you're 90. You're going to have to get your butt back up. If you can't, you got to use one of those little buttons that calls for somebody to come to your house. We don't want that. So you should be fit for life at 90. So burpees every day, burpees. And there you go. That is warm-up number 2. I hope you enjoy, and I hope you go and get that workout. Thank you very much. Take care.